Former Vice President Dick Cheney is insisting that enhanced interrogation techniques like waterboarding saved hundreds, if not thousands, of U.S. lives. And by banning the practice, he says that President Obama is putting the nation at risk.
In effect, what we've seen happen with respect to the Obama administrations that came to power is they have moved to take down a lot of those policies we put in place that kept the nation safe.
Chris Kofinis is a Democratic strategist and Pete Seat is a Republican strategist. And Pete, right off the bat, one of the problems with what the vice president is saying is that it's not clear if, in fact, this waterboarding saved lives. There are a lot of people suggest the documents would say that, no, they didn't. Even the president, as news conference says, it looks like the information could have been obtained other ways. So the vice president's a little bit out in front, isn't he?
Well, not entirely. It contradicts what President Obama's Director of National Intelligence, Dennis Blair, said in a memo that was distributed internally but was edited before it got to the press that said we received actionable intelligence from using these techniques. And polls are showing a majority of Americans, while they may not agree with specific techniques
but just
used,
to be clear,
they agree on the broader premise of using them.
That same Dennis Blair was not referring specifically to waterboarding.
Right, and we could, debate specific techniques, but polls show the American people agree that using enhanced interrogation techniques on terrorist suspects is the way to go. They understand this isn't like Law and Order. You don't have a suspect in a room, shine a bright light on them, and they spill the beans. This is a matter of getting intelligence that will save American lives, and some of these techniques are vital to get that.
Chris Kofinis?
Well, what's interesting about hearing, Vice President Cheney speak is this revisionist history. I mean, look at the facts. The facts of the last 8 years of the Bush administration and what actually happened. We went to war in Iraq, a war that we did not need to fight. We had a mismanaged war in Afghanistan. We have Osama bin Laden that was able to, for 7 years, escape custody. We had, for example, America's public image around the world deteriorate. Our relationships with our allies got worse. They made this country less safe. They don't want to confront that reality, but that is the truth. And to have Vice President Cheney go out there and to in any way, shape, or form suggest that the Obama administration, which is actually trying to undo the damage that they did over 8 years, is making this country less safe, is an insult. It's an insult not only, I think, to this administration, but it's an insult to the American men and women in the military who actually now have a commander-in-chief that is putting, I think, the right strategy in place.
Here's President Obama at the White House Correspondents' Dinner with some jokes about former Vice President Cheney. Watch.
Dick Cheney was supposed to be here, but he is very busy working on his memoirs, tentatively titled How to Shoot Friends and Interrogate People.
Pete, I got to ask you, Dick Cheney obviously disagrees with the Obama administration on a lot of things, but he also says that he would prefer Rush Limbaugh's representation of the Republican Party than Colin Powell's. Do you?
Well, I think the Vice President brought up a pretty good point, is Colin Powell really still a Republican? He endorsed President Obama. Well, that's,
so
I guess, a question that's up in the air.
Again is, Pete, the question is, do you believe the Republican Party ought to have moderates like Colin Powell, or do you believe it should be strict conservatives as represented by Rush Limbaugh?
Well, I think the choice between the conservative approach and a moderate approach is really a false choice. The Republican Party can stick to its principles, continue to be for lower taxes and fiscal responsibility and all the other things that Republicans have always stood for, while communicating in such a way that is appealing to independents. And I think that's what the real difficulty is right now, is finding a way to communicate our message so that a lot of people will come into the Big Ten of the Republican Party.
Well, this is interesting. This is not just a communications challenge. I mean, look at who the messenger is. Vice President Cheney's, I think, approval ratings are probably in the low teens, and I'm probably being generous. I mean, the notion that you have Vice President Cheney going out there being the voice and the face of the Republican Party just shows you the dire straits the Republican Party is really in. But here's the more amazing part about it, is for him to sit there and criticize and suggest that, for example, that General Powell, Secretary Powell, should not be part of the Republican Party because he's a moderate. It is the only way you're going to win in the future is if you embrace moderates and you are able to attract independents. This is a strategy for failure. And not surprising. I mean, this is basically Dick Cheney's entire strategic philosophy, figure out how to lose wars and apparently now how to lose elections.
You know, I think the debate over what is motivating Dick Cheney is one that that ought to be our next one. And Pete Seat and Chris Kofinis, we look forward to having you both on to discuss that. But Chris Kofinis, Democratic strategist, Pete Seat, Republican strategist, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Today,